Well, happy Saturday and welcome to a news of the day type video. And this, of course, is collecting stuff from yesterday and stuff that may have been headlines this morning. It's been a quiet last 24 hours. The headline being Brendan Perlini signs an $874,000 contract for 1 year. That's a pretty good deal, to be honest. Perlini still does have some upside. I understand that he's seen as probably being the most likely to get traded out of Chicago at that cap hit. If they do decide to move him, there will definitely be takers. He's young enough, there will be takers at $874K. Landon Ferraro gets a professional tryout with the Vancouver Canucks as tryout season continues to build some momentum. Landon Ferraro, very unlikely to win a job with the Canucks, of course, but could be very useful for Utica should they sign him at a minor league level. And wishing him only the best. He's another one of those ones that highly thought of prospect that turns into a project later, but could still have some upside. As he's what, 24? I want to say 24. I may be overestimating. Alex Ovechkin looks leaner. Says he's still 260 pounds. He's listed at 235. So this is one of those things where once you get older, you have to continually reinvent yourself. You have to continually work harder and maintain better shape as you get older and older in order to maintain your speed with the younger kids and be able to actually continue to play at that top level. So he looks good, and we'll see whether or not Ovechkin is able to hit 50 again this year. That's definitely going to be the goal. Jake Gardner, he thinks the back injury may have been what scared some teams off. So he missed 20 games this past season. He's had some back issues, and there was some talk at one point that it might require surgery. It would make sense if that's what was scaring teams off. I understand that his $4.05 million cap hit looks good, but the 4-year term is likely where he ends up signing with Carolina. He may have been getting $4 million as an offer, but not for multi-year contract. And part of this may very well be uncertainty regarding the future of the cap. So for Gardner, we'll see how things work out for him in Carolina. He may be one of those guys who plays 3 out of 4 games for the rest of his career. Or maybe he ends up feeling better this fall and maybe everything's going to be okay. But when you got a guy who's had back problems, it does tend to leave you a reason for pause. Injuries are an issue with him, and so I could see that having driven down the value. Although there's some debate about whether or not he would have got 6 or 7 million on the free agent market. When you look at the last 2 games against Boston, the game 7s, he's been -8 in those 2 games, and I know that's not fair to grade him on those 2 games, but it's a very publicly known thing that in these most important games to the Toronto Maple Leafs, he was the scapegoat both times. Let's get on to something else. Logan Brown. Strong game for him for the Senators yesterday. 2 goals and an assist, I believe he had, and a rookie. Now, of course, again, as I said yesterday, these rookie games you go, yeah, but for the Senators, if they're going to have any hopes of being competitive this year, they need a guy like Logan Brown to come in and win a job and look like he belongs in the top 6 in the NHL. Ottawa's forward group, it looks like a team that's going to score at a rate of 31st out of 31 teams. And a guy like Logan Brown could reverse that at least a little bit. If he comes in and has, I'd say, 20, 25 goals, that kind of thing, maybe 50, 55 points. If he can play anywhere near that level, it'll help the Senators tremendously as they go through another year of a rebuild. Jack Hughes impressed his coaches in a 6-4 loss yesterday because he is competitive. He doesn't like losing, even though it's a rookie thing and it's just, the game doesn't really mean anything. To him, it did. And his coaches were saying after the game, he's a very smart player, too. He knows the game very well. So the fact that he seems to think the game at a veteran level and he's very competitive and doesn't take losing easily, this is the kind of thing you want to see for a rookie, because Hughes is going to go through times this year where, yeah, he goes through droughts where he's not scoring very much. Doesn't look like he's playing very well if you're looking for the points and the goals and all that. But if he's smart on the ice and if the competitiveness is there, that means you can play him on any line and you're likely still going to see those things in his game. So If you're a Devils fan and you were like, okay, I don't want to get too excited, the way Hughes is already looking could turn that around. And again, it's a rookie thing, so when you got the rookie tournaments going on, you kind of take it with a grain of salt. But if he can show those smarts and that competitiveness in a season for New Jersey where they're in a very tight division, not very many people are taking them to make the playoffs, that could be a huge difference maker right there. Austin Matthews. Thank you, Austin Matthews. Not for growing the mustache. The mustache looks weird. But thank you very much for calling out the media. And I did this last month as well. I said this is absolute BS kind of thing. And it is. This idea that Matthews signs a 5-year contract, so people are looking at it and going, well, it means he's going to leave in 5 years, is ridiculous. I have never heard this said about a player before where they sign an extension and all somebody does is look at that extension and go, well, because it's not for 20 years, that means he's going to leave. Seriously. So because he signed a 5-year deal instead of an 8, it means he's going to leave in 5 years. I don't understand it. And I get it. He was born in California, raised in Arizona, and clearly that means he had Arizona Coyote pajamas and blankets, and therefore, no. People just, I don't understand the narrative, and I'm so glad Matthews called it out. And he says, look, I'm going into the first year of a 5-year contract in Toronto. I'm a Maple Leaf. I'm not thinking about going anywhere else. So I'm very glad he did this, and kudos to Matthews for calling out this weird fake narrative. I know Brian Burke fanned those Flames, but he's not the only one that said, he's out of here in 5 years. Who cares? This is 5 years from now. It's 2024. Like, it's not like he signed a 5-week deal. It's 5 years. That's what, 8, 9 Marvel movies? You guys, for the nerds in the crowd, you don't have to worry till phase 6? Marvel phase 6 before you guys have to worry about it. Be able to see Marvel finally fall off a cliff, I'm guessing. I'm just guessing. Eventually it has to, right? They're talking about making a Fantastic Four movie. That's probably where it's going to happen, right? Because that was my favorite as a kid and watching some of these movies. Especially the most recent reboot. Anyways. Eric Comrie signs a 2-year, $700,000 per season contract, so league minimum, with Winnipeg. It's a 2-way contract for this year and a 1-way contract the year after. Comrie's young enough, he's 24 years of age, that he may still develop into an NHL-level goaltender. He'll be the number 3 this year for sure. So if he plays in the AHL, which he will, unless he has a tremendous camp and they get rid of Brossoit, he will get paid less money in the American Hockey League than he does at the NHL level. But next year, 2020, 2021, it won't matter. He'll make that $700,000 no matter what. So we'll see. This is another one of those kind of show me kind of contracts. And for Comrie, time is kind of short for him, really, because again, at 24, you can still develop into an NHL level goaltender like a Jordan Binnington, but you're on the clock. You're definitely on the clock. And I wanted to mention with Carolina, there's an interesting thing with them signing Gardner. Right now, they're listed at $1.5 million over the cap. So the idea that sending down somebody who's worth $800,000 would get them under the cap, that doesn't work in this case. In some cases, it works. Teams that are currently over the cap, you've got Toronto, Washington, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, also over the cap. Now, Buffalo will be under the cap once they put Hunwick on long-term injured reserve. He's not playing all year. That $1.75 million will come off their cap hit, and they're under the cap. For Toronto, they're nowhere near the cap. It's an artificial number because Clarkson and Horton, both LTIR, and so for Toronto, they may be spending the money, but their actual cap hit is low. And then, of course, once they sign Marner, we'll see if that puts them over or not, or what happens. But we're still waiting on Marner. So it's interesting to see Carolina $1.5 million over the cap, even if they figure this out between now and October 1st, which they will, to make sure that they're under the cap. They're spending money. This is a team that's spending money now. Carolina can't just say, well, we're a budget team. We're not allowed to spend to the cap. And Ron Francis is in Seattle somewhere going, seriously, why didn't I have it? If I'd had that. But anyways, there you go. Your news of the day. You guys are all caught up. For now, of course, there's a meetup coming up today. So kind of anxious about that. And that means that there'll be some kind of a major signing or something is my guess. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. As always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And hey, thank you guys so much for watching. I will talk to you again soon.